Just put the Doctor Who music.
See, it's perfect. Y'all didn't even know I was already recording, so that's kind of the intro. Everyone, we're back. After we just realized, I didn't even realize it's been that long. I was gonna think we took a year off. It turns out
It's been more than that.
it's almost been 2 years.
Yeah.
It's almost been 2 years. In fact, I was kind of like spitballing the date when we were talking before recording. Thankfully, I still remember my settings because I remember I would peak a lot. So thankfully, I'm not even me talking this loud and laughing. I'm not clipping, thankfully. But like, I'm gonna get the actual date because when I saw it while shitting my brains out because my stomach hurts right now. We can't be on YouTube now. Wait, no, it was past the first 15 seconds before I started cussing.
Yeah, I think
And we're not monetized anyways right now, so fuck it.
Yeah.
I remember when I was temporarily monetized. Okay, so little story. Okay, well, first, Feb 22, 2021, we did our episode 90, and then we never recorded again after that.
And they were never seen.
And then never seen again. But we were now.
Until
Until now. Which, almost a year? So when I saw that, well, one, I already had Tony come over. Which, by the way, everybody, Mallory is now named Tony. It sounds very different. Because in the last episode we had, Mallory was still there. Now, John had already retired for the 8th time, as he tends to do in any of my projects I have with him. So John already had left officially. Again, I think it was like the 3rd time he quit the podcast. And then Mallory, it was the episode where we ordered delivery. At that point, we were so loose. I started kind of okay, that sounded weird. We were so loose at that point.
Were we eating while
so the last
straight,
episode,
5 minutes.
Correct. We left and then I couldn't be fucked to edit it, and then we went to go get the food. It was definitely, I will say, it was definitely getting to a point where I think a break was needed. I just think I didn't intend the break to be 2 years.
Yeah.
There's also going to be echo because we're in the living room as opposed to my room because my room is a hazmat area right now, and so we need to, not as much as some other areas in the house, but it's still one of those things where I definitely need to do some decluttering. The curse of Amazon boxes being everywhere. But, so there's going to be some echo, y'all. You're going to have to just deal with it. I might fix it in post, so you might not even know what I'm talking about. It might sound crazy. But, there's that. Oh, yeah, and our last episode was also named Unintentional Mukbang because I remember what happened originally it was unintentional because we were supposed to eat before the recording. The food, like tonight, was taking so goddamn long that we just decided, let's just start the episode and, whatever. And then, of course, not too far in, the food gets there. So Joe and I leave to go get it or whatever. And I just tell Mal in the recording, just fill, which Mal, no offense, was probably the weakest at filling. With a partner, when I left you and Mal alone, y'all were pretty good at conversating. But alone, Mal was not very good at just talking to the microphone. And so it was a lot of awkward. She was really trying. She sounded super nervous. And the mic fell on her, so she also panicked because you just hear the mic drop. And
literal mic drop?
Yeah, literal mic drop. And then the recording cuts off, and then you hear me put it. The recording, it sounds like the mic
almost
just...
like a found footage.
Yeah, exactly. So you hear the mic fall, but the recording continues, but that's actually 2 different recordings I had to splice. Because when she dropped the mic, my computer, when the mic gets unplugged, auto pauses. So thankfully, Audacity's smart enough that unless I say stop, it'll record again, correct. So it is there is some time lost between it falling and whatever, but it sounds like it just fell and we fixed it right away. But behind the scenes, that's actually not how that went down. It's actually, there was a bit of a pause and Mal kind of freaked out that she knocked it over.
Yeah, listen to that first, or that episode specifically. I remember a point in time where I wasn't paying too much attention because I was just kind of having it as background noise at that point. And then I was like, why did this get suddenly quiet? And then that's when I just started paying attention to the podcast, and I was like,
you're like, wait, it's Shoto Mate.
It's like, wait, where did the other 2 go?
Yeah.
And then they just as much as she could,
try
to just talk about whatever she could.
Yeah, she was grasping for straws, really. But then I think, there were times like that where we got towards the end of our rope, and I did feel like a break was needed, again, just unintentionally a lot longer. Because then life happened. Lots of stuff has happened. We're not going to get into that because that's a box of lots have happened in those 2 years that I'm not even going to start the narrative on that. And sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I hate to be that person that starts the story and cuts it off, but like, it's just not worth fucking talking on here.
Yeah.
Really isn't.
I remember one thing I kept thinking about is, the opening recap is going to be arduous.
Yeah, so that's why I'm deciding to forego it.
Yeah.
We're basically, we're gonna do our weekly recaps like we normally do in just a second, but this is the 2-year recap right now, is just explaining what happened basically.
More or less.
For those of you who are even tuning in, like, it's crazy. We did have residual listeners that would just like either listen to an episode again, or at least part of an episode, maybe trying to find a section, or where John maybe said something questionable and stupid, or maybe try to find whatever else, or a lot of it really, and this is why big props, thank you to everyone we've had as a guest. That's actually, I almost lost my train of thought there, so I'm going to say it right now and cut myself off, is that's what made me really get hyped again, was thinking of the amazing guests we've had, the interviews we've had, from K-pop, literal K-pop stars, to nerdcore rappers, to game developers. Like, it was that period, that stretch of like, I believe it was like almost 6 months where we almost had a guest every other week, if not every week. We had so many guests in a row for almost half a year. That was our strongest. First of all, that was our biggest listening peak, because you can imagine. Especially when we had Kyla Kristen, ex-K-pop star, on there. We had one of our biggest pops. I got a taste of what it's like to be a celebrity in terms of my Twitter, because once I posted that the episode was out to plug it, she quote retweeted it and then retweeted it, and my phone just retweeted, quote retweeted, replied, and I'm just like, so this is why celebrities must mute their fucking Twitter notifications, because this is what it's like. Because wow, if you actually get traction, real traction. I mean, I think we've all had our little 500 decent, maybe even thousands of likes in on a tweet or something, or a video we made or something. But it was definitely different seeing me have a tweet with over 3,000 retweets and however many 5,000 likes or whatever. It was pretty wild, because we've never had that. But yeah, think about the guests and stuff like we have in the past. I can't wait to start that up again. I think that if we can get the momentum going, I really hope that this kind of starts the beginning of a journey rather than the eulogy of the end.
And here we lies the disconnected.
Because I'll be honest, I was talking to Tony, just being totally transparent. I wasn't a bit of, sorry, I heard something in the background. It's still fine. It's not going to pick that up, but I heard that and I was just like, what is that? I thought someone was shouting at first. I was like, what is going on? But yeah, it's one of those things where I was kind of in a bit of a bad place, just being completely transparent with the audience here. I did think about giving up. That did happen recently. The whole 2 years, I've mentally fought to just be like, we're going to revive this. Whether it's talking to Joe, talking to Tony, I would always try to reiterate that this isn't dead. And whether or not it's someone in denial, someone that's being delusional, whatever you want to call it. But sadly, in more recent times, I did get to the point thinking about scheduling and everything. And I was, our work schedules all being always been different, but it almost seemed possible to coordinate it at one point.
Yeah.
But now it's gotten somehow worse. And with that being the case, I really did think about calling it quits. And I had to kind of wrestle mentally. It's why I'm drained because I had 1 hour sleep today plus work. And then also fighting a stomach bug. And then on top of all that, stressing about this, which, the stressing probably doesn't help the stomach. Your body gets very ill when you stress, right? And but I wanted you to worry, because I know my mom listens to the podcast, and I know I'm worrying her. I'm good. I mean, I was shitting a lot before we started recording, so you can know that since you're my mom. But what was I going to say? For everyone else, now you know that intimate detail about me. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where it did get tough, because I thought to myself, I think I pulled the plugs on projects before. But this is probably the most sentimental. Well, it's not just the most, and I don't just like it because it is arguably my most successful project that I've done. It's because there was something about it. It was the most important thing to me in terms of content creator outside of my band gaining semi-decent traction. Bit of a tangent, but like when I was in Cimmerian, my band did pretty decent. We played shows in New Braunfels, UTSA, Northwest Vista. We opened for touring acts. We did like, I had a taste of like the band life, something I dreamed of and never thought I would actually have. Hearing national touring acts tell us that we had a unique sound or they've never heard anyone or seen anyone the way we performed before specifically. That was really special. And with the podcast, Tony being involved in that, and it's kind of an interesting thing that Tony's transitioning from listener / fans a hard word to use because, I'd like to think we have fans, but I also think it's a very, like the YouTuber Flossie Carter that I like hates using that word because it almost just it makes it seem like you're so far apart. Not that anyone who calls their audience fans is a bad thing, right? But I feel like fans is like 35,000 subs plus, 100,000 subs plus. I feel like that's when you have fans, right? I feel like this one, it's listeners, like more so like a more intimate thing where like you can kind of connect, which is like, Tony had the feeling that I wanted to portray that guys. And that was like what was so special about when I first met Tony and he told me about that he listened to our podcast was the fact that he did feel like it was just friends conversating. He had responses, interactions, thoughts that like if he had been in the room with us during that time, he wanted to say. Like he would almost kind of respond aloud to the already pre-recorded episode. I agree with that, or like, oh, like that's how I felt, or like, it's cool you pointed that out, or whatever. Because that's what I wanted. Like, this is what I want that to be. Because that's what I miss about content creation. Content creation nowadays, I'm going on this whole thing about it, but it's just why, the whole point of it is going to be why we came back, basically, right? And that's the whole point of it. So there's a point. I'm not just rambling incoherently. But my whole thing is, when everyone gets too big, and I always talk to y'all about this, especially y'all, is that, content creators get big. And I get it, it's a necessary evil, right? Like Markiplier. I miss Markiplier when he was low budget, no ring light, shitty lighting in his brother's house in Ohio recording LPs with the most, with a Logitech 920, not a fucking like red cam or whatever he uses now. That's like a few $1,000 is his face cam now. Which is like, he's using DSLR for a face cam now. And an actual compression mic. The cheapest piece of equipment he uses is a Sennheiser's, and those are still like $400. So it's like, and it's okay to have good equipment. I like having good equipment. I'd love to one day get Shure mics and everything. I'd love to have a studio setting. But I think the important thing is if we ever get big at all, I don't want to lose the basis of the thing, which is I want it to be super polished. I want it to be, I don't mind using DSLRs if we could afford that, but that's not the priority. I still want the base content to be, we're just chilling. Because that's what I've always enjoyed about all my favorite content creators, whether I'm listening to Jim Cornette's wrestling podcast, Super Best Friends Play, old Markiplier before he became a screaming ape. It's all because like they actually feel like friends. Watch this be the episode of years. It's all because like we were all. I'm gonna end up on Keemstar's show having to explain myself about why I said that about him. But it's one of those things where like that's what I don't want us to lose touch on. And so as I was thinking about all that stuff, kind of having like a lot of thoughts, I thought of, I had like bombarded y'all early morning with all these ideas and everything. And then it wasn't until I called Tony on the phone, almost ready to quit basically at that point. I was almost, when I told Tony on the phone, this isn't me canceling the podcast, because it's almost how it started when I started the sentence with him. And I was like, it's not. But in my brain, I was kind of lying. I was kind of like, but at the same time, I considered it. You know what I mean? It was like the internal struggle. And then, but as I was talking to Tony, hearing one, like him caring so much, like hearing like him sound so like there to listen to me, there to hear everything. But then also knowing how hyped he's been about trying to do the podcast, trying to do his part, whether it works or not, at least trying it out, right? And that's what we're going to see today. So hopefully I'll like it. And do let us know. I'm going to put the email at the end of the episode like usual. But definitely let us know what you think about old Tony. This is the pilot episode. The casting couch, if you will. Don't Google that. Of this episode. So, and this is what it's about. This is like how it was before, where I say a bunch of semi-regrettable stuff and it's recorded and then published on the internet. But yeah, that's the thing. And so anyways, long story short is I almost gave up. It was hard to think of thoughts where we could do it, but I think the way it's going to work, because y'all are going to learn about this eventually, so I might as well introduce it to y'all now in this return episode, is the way it's going to work is sometimes there's going to be episodes where it's just me and Tony, me and Joe. You know, maybe one day, if y'all get chummy enough, maybe even if y'all feel comfortable enough even recording, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to put that burden on y'all, but I'm just trying to say, I'm trying to make it so it can be modular because I feel like that's the only way it's going to work. I mean, I know I do a lot of, I pretty much do like the production, the storyboarding and all that stuff. So it's maybe a little hard to do if no one else takes, I don't want to put all that burden on y'all because at the end of the day, I still feel like that is my responsibility because I am leading the charge. So that's just, it's what I do. It's not something I don't want to do. It's not something, you know, that I am trying to offload, but it is one of those things where I realize without that, it would be hard to just put y'all in a room and say, talk stuff, because it wouldn't really be gaming news podcast anymore. It would just be the recap for a whole episode. But anyways, point being is, so you made your different configurations, but don't worry, Joe didn't quit, unless Joe actually quits. Tony didn't quit, unless Tony actually quits, or whatever. Yeah. The whole point is, that's why you might hear these different configurations. And so we'll see how that goes. It's an idea. But today, we're all here. That's the important part because this was the important episode. The first one, we all got to be here. And where it goes from here, you know, we'll see. But anywho, all that aside, all the preamble aside, let's see. Let's start with Noji. Joe, what have you been up to this week? What's been Joe's week?
Oh, okay. Well, work has been shit.
Let's just start off with that.
Yeah, exactly. Great. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, my work, well, you know, my work schedule has been hectic lately, but
way worse than usual.
Yeah, but what made it even worse was that I had tweaked my wrist on Friday.
Guitar player, by the way.
Yeah, and so like, especially this year that I'm actually trying to get back into like super serious with it. And so that sucks.
That heart-stopping moment scare.
No, exactly. It really sucks. It's feeling a bit better now. I've been wearing a wrist brace for the past 2 days, but it feels okay.
Definitely better than day one.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. Because
No,
that's what you want. It's when it doesn't get better, and then that shit's scary.
Yeah. So it's been that.
Okay.
Been spending the weekend revisiting the Shrek films. So,
was it? I'm assuming. Spurred on by Puss in Boots. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
that makes a lot more sense now. Yeah.
Great stuff, by the way. We watched it. Well, Joe's seen it several times already. I saw it for the first time. Absolutely loved it. So.
Yeah, I've probably seen it like 3 or 4 times.
It has, and I know people hate when people say these terms, but I feel like this is a fair time to use it. That movie had no right to be that good. I know a lot of people say that about media, but I feel like this movie, Puss in Boots, especially after the shitty first one. Maybe shitty is a harsh word. Mediocre, mid-ass first one.
I would say mid.
Yeah, it's one of those things where this had no right to be this good after such a mediocre first film.
Yeah.
Like, my God, the writing, the animation, everything went up 300%.
It's had such a hard effect on like the internet as well too. Like I see it
everywhere. Yeah, it went. This thing that's already pretty viral because of Shrek went even more viral again in its own thing.
Yeah, and it was actually because of Twitter that really made me want to see it. Because at first, well, I remember you and I, we would go to the films and we see posters and we would say,
everything like,
Puss in Boots movie, whatever.
Yeah, like whatever. But then I was on Twitter one morning and somebody tweeted the scene like around close to the beginning where he's fighting that giant, and it just looks so good that I literally made that impulse decision. I'm going to watch this movie today.
And you did.
And I did, and it was fantastic, and I'm glad that I did.
Yeah, that Titan scene specifically, did anybody think, whoever has watched Attack on Titan, think of Attack on Titan?
Yeah.
Even in Spanish Splinter, you almost think of the swords being driven into the Titans.
I think somebody actually took that clip and put like the first
that's funny. Yeah, because it's hard not to think of that. I mean, we are weeaboos, so it's like, of course we think of that, but there's got to be someone saw that in the studio. Someone had that.
They even did like the whole like twirling the camera like thing like.
Oh, that was really crazy. The budget in that film was insane. I don't know what the budget was, but whatever it was way higher than what I'd expect.
Like the cinematography, the storyboarding,
great.
It was all really good. But yeah, pretty much so that, watched the first 2 Shrek films yesterday, and then I watched the 3rd and 4th earlier today.
Okay, verdict. Ranking. Random rank attack.
Okay, I'm gonna put the third one at the bottom.
Okay, third one's at the bottom.
The first two are definitely the best. I feel like I really like the first one, and is always forever going to be the best one. But the second one is when Puss in Boots is introduced.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I would say 1, 2, 4, and then the third one. Which the third one, like, I remember only seeing parts of it. I think this was the first time I actually watched it entirely. And then this was actually the first time I ever watched the fourth one, too.
Which one had Immigrant Song? Which one had Immigrant Song in it?
That was the third one.
That was, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember that being like one of the only parts I liked in that movie was the Immigrant Song, and I was just like, yay, that song.
See, I remember I thought that was in the second film, but the reason I got so fucking confused was because Prince Charming was in the second and third film as a villain, so yeah.
I don't think I even remember the fourth one, to be honest. Isn't that the one with the little short guy?
Rumpelstiltskin.
Right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't even remember the third one.
Which is funny, because Rumpelstiltskin is in the third one, but looks and sounds absolutely nothing like Rumpelstiltskin in the fourth one.
That's so weird.
They just retconned it.
Yeah, that's weird when that happens. Like, I can't, of course, now I can't think of an example of that, but we've seen media where that happens before, where the most obvious one is the actor gets changed, which is always weird. But even when the actor isn't changed, we've seen stuff where like voices get changed all of a sudden. You're just like, what does that sound like?
One prime example of like what I've gone through right now with a voice actor change is Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core.
Oh my god, yeah.
I
saw
don't
those.
want to play the game now
because I'm big sad, really.
It's not the fact that they changed it. I'm fine with people changing voice actors, but when you sound him like he sounds like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I
don't know what the thought process was behind that, because first of all, the original dialogue isn't even awful. The original VO is not bad at all.
So they couldn't remaster it or something.
They wanted to give a new experience, so that way those who have played it, but give me the choice of voice track. That's normally what a lot of games do. Like, play this game with the original soundtrack or the new soundtrack. Play this game with the original VO or the new VO. They should have done that, but they don't believe that's an option.
They should have just gotten...
Could be a licensing thing too. Who knows who the voice actor is?
So.
Maybe. Yeah, it could be. That shit's always weird when that happens also.
Let's say Genesis is in that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they should just have Gak voice in there.
Oh my gosh. Speaking English the entire time.
Voice, yeah.
Yeah.
Have Gak do the English voice for Genesis. Just do it.
Run,
do it, cowards. Yeah.
I'd be like, oh god. It'd be great though. Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm glad Gak's doing better.
Yeah.
Gak got really sick and now he's coming. He's back. He's dancing with cats now in underwear. It's weird, but
that's great.
He's clearly alive. He's more alive than he's ever been because he's doing that. So that's good.
The dream.
Yeah,
really.
So pretty much. But yeah, okay. So Shrek.
Aside from that, I did, because I know you brought it up. Yeah, I did start watching season 2, Record of Ragnarok.
Okay.
Saw the 5 episodes.
Okay.
So pretty much the first half is like the Hercules and Jack the Ripper fight, which was really damn good.
I think historical shit like that's always cool, whether it's like Fate or like Ragnarok and stuff like that. It's such a cool concept. These these historical figures, but then kind of doing shit with them. It's kind of interesting.
Hey, I know that guy.
Yeah. So, and was watching it with Catherine. She has read the manga, which she did have some gripes about the anime.
As I can imagine, yeah. Sadly, sometimes knowing source material is a curse.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, it's fine. It was alright. It was enjoyable. I liked it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example. But those for me is always going to be Witcher and I forget what the other example. Witcher for sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, I know a ton of people love Witcher that haven't played the games. But unfortunately, if you're a big stan of the games, it is a little like, what have you done to my poor Witchers?
You massacred my
boy. Exactly. Bingo. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I was gonna kind of prompt you towards Fire Emblem Engage, but we're gonna actually talk about that as part of the news section. So I'm gonna push that out. But I have it in the notes for you to talk about it. So we'll just in case you were gonna bring that up, I'm just kind of pushing it out. And Breath of the Wild, you also started playing finally, which is cool that you got to it.
Yeah. Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
Because Tears of the Kingdom is going to be coming up. So
better time than ever, right? Because the biggest issue when sequels come out so far apart from each other is you have the curse of what the hell happened in the first game. I'll be playing games sometimes, and it's supposed to be some important character or villain or anti-hero or whatever, and they're just like, oh, I see you're here again. I'm like, here again? Who the fuck is this? And then like I'll watch like LP or something of the first game, and I'll be like, or movie or whatever, and I'll be like, what? What? I don't remember any of this. Like, because it's like from a game from like fucking however many years ago. Because Breath of the Wild's already, what, almost 5 years old?
Yeah, I think so, actually. I mean, pretty much as old as the
We're
Switch.
going on 5 years?
As old as the Switch
so
is.
going on 5 years then.
Yeah.
Because it was a launch title
Yeah.
for Switch. So that's like a carbon footprint.
Mhm.
So that being the case, though, I think now is a better time than ever because Tears of the Kingdom's coming up.
Yeah.
So you can kind of, I mean, assuming they link the story,
the
story
fresh in your head.
decently, yeah, exactly. It's fresh in your head. And if it doesn't link well, you'll be fresh in your head, so you can notice that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, so Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, so I mean that Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I mean nothing much else. Was watching Shin Ultraman 4 coming down for this.
That's your second time?
Second time, yeah. Second time watching it. I'm trying to think what else has been going on. Let's see. Oh, actually, Matt Heafy was streaming one of their concerts in Germany this morning.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
just in case you don't, people that don't know, guitarist and vocalist and leader of Trivium, the band Trivium.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case y'all don't know, great guy. I met him a couple of times. Not that he'd remember me. It was all at meet and greets, obviously, where they meet a billion people. But very nice every single time.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that moment too. Actually, the first time I met him, it was at Family Values, or no, Rock. I don't know. I went to a lot of festivals back then. It was some bullshit festival, and Trivium was there then. That's who I was there for, and I was so excited. They had a meet and greet. Well, most bands, when they got to like 100 people, they would just cut it off. Like most bands were like, not the band themselves, but the staff would just be like, they would just be like, all right, this is the last show, everyone out of here.
Probably
whatever, right? Probably. I think actually it was sponsored by FYE, so probably.
Yeah,
actually.
they always had the worst one.
Yeah, and so the staff was trying to do that during Trivium's meet and greet panel, and Matt Heafy said no. Matt Heafy said, no, I want every person. He goes, I don't care if you can keep joining the line. He goes, I want to sit here and sign everything until we're done. He says, and we're doing photos. He says, we're doing photos and signing. He goes, I know some people aren't, because some people were only signing and were just like fucking Chinese sweatshop lining the fucking signatures and like no photos, no whatever. They're just like, go, go, go. That heavy. I mean, there was even some chode busters who were wanting to do like 5 or 6 different pictures and just like, okay, bro. And you could see them being saints and patient, but that's gotta be annoying. Like, it's like so greedy. Like, what the fuck? And just a random like cringe story. It reminds me of this time that I saw in this moment. I used to see them so much that they actually started to recognize me because I went to so many of their concerts in a row. And then of course I did spend almost, they were on Warped Tour, and I spent like hours with them hanging out. So like I did kind of build, I wouldn't say I became friends, but like enough to the point where we see each other at shows, we'd actually be a genuine like, what's up? And I remember one time though, they were here in San Antonio for, well, all of those shows were in San Antonio, but we were at, I don't remember any of those, wherever we saw Momstein at, that venue.
Oh, God, Scout Bar.
Scout Bar.
Yeah.
And then this moment was there, right? And they were doing meet and greet afterwards. Meet and greet, they're kind of just standing there in a line, went through and got shit signed or took pictures. And this cringy guy was just like, because they're not even from here, right? This cringy guy was just like, oh yeah, you know, I have a studio here and I get you a good rate. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like yeah, they're gonna fly here every time we record an album just because, you know, fucking obviously I have a studio and producer already, idiot. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? It just kept going on and on and on. And it was funny though because the main guitarist dude and Maria, the vocalist, like whenever the guy was kind of just so, you know, smelling his own farts, they would both kind of like, because I was the next person in line, and like they were already kind of ready to talk to me, and so like they would keep like looking at me and like rolling their eyes or like making like fucking funny ass faces at me, like bro, come on, like they were being nice when he would like, they would engage with him, but like I think otherwise they would just be like looking over at me like, God, like hurry, like this guy's already fucked up. But anyways, those are cringy guys. But yeah, so met at a stream, Germany, so that's where they're at right now. So now we know.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty cool. Like he streamed where he was doing his warm ups, and then warming up with the band, and then they just pretty much set up the stream like backstage.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, it's almost like you're watching it.
It's interesting how, especially during COVID, the advent of everything streaming really just started to become a thing. I mean, and I mean even people making careers, right? Matt Heafy, Herman Lee, T-Pain, all mentioned. Actually making more money in terms of the effort to gain ratio being the best one that they have, because producing an album takes months, years, money, everything. Whereas on Twitch, especially T-Pain has a lot of clips go viral. He's a very amusing guy when he plays video games, and he's just a funny guy. He even said himself, he goes, "That's honestly why I haven't been dropping albums lately. Is like, cause I'm fucking making the bread still. Like, just but I'm doing Twitches."
I would assume it's probably also a good way to relieve stress too.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
oh, writer's block, let's just fucking stream some Doom or whatever.
Some of my favorite moments is whenever people are just being racist online, which of course, anytime there's voice chat and shooting games, it's usually going to be someone being a piece of shit. And there was one where the guy was obviously saying some racial epithets towards T-Pain. I don't know if he knew he was T-Pain, but you know, they were obvious racial slurs. And T-Pain just started like griefing the guy, and the guy was just getting so mad, like he's getting big popped anytime. And T-Pain, like, you know, it's not like he's a pro gamer, but like he just went Super Saiyan after getting annoyed by that guy, and was just able to fucking pull out every ridiculous shot. It was so fucking funny to see that. That's still a good one. But yeah, you know, it's cool to see that people at streaming become a thing. I mean, even concerts, at least in Asia, I don't think here so much, but like in Asia, a lot of concerts are still live streamed. Either if COVID numbers are up or just to reach a global audience. So
yeah, when all of that was kind of happening too, that I felt like I started seeing more of like VR concert type of stuff.
Yes, correct. That did actually happen a lot too. And I think Travis Scott's cringe Fortnite concert happened during that time period, where at least it was virtual people getting stomped instead of real people. But yeah, there was that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was only like a couple of years ago when even Post Malone did the one for Pokemon.
Yeah, that one.
At least he didn't fall through a.
Yeah, at least it wasn't that. Yeah, exactly. God, and then there was what was the bad Pokemon one? Was it Katy Perry?
The Katy Perry one was very underwhelming. I was actually
bad.
kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, but it wasn't good.
Yep, I was expecting, you know, the classic Katy Perry pop, and
it was so generic and bad.
Yeah.
In Post Malone's song, he used a very famous hook, didn't he? In the song,
Yes,
Pokemon, it was a very
Hootie.
Yeah, Hootie Blowfish. There we go. Very good. Yeah. Hootie. But yeah. But anyways, concerts. Yeah. Okay.
More so that more or less wraps it up for me.
All right, Tony. What you been up to? You can tell your flea. You have to tell your flea market story for like the third time. Because I keep thinking to tell people about it.
I mean, honestly, I just went around hunting cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm really getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh now. I'm watching.
Format to get it.
I'm watching. I played Master Duel when it came out, and that's what started to get me into it. And I was like, oh, I know dual monsters only. Like, I only know, hey, I have bigger attack points than you. I win, type of thing.
You know, for me, it was Duel Links.
Yeah,
was what
I couldn't get into Duel Links.
Now, is that a first game and sequel kind of situation, or two completely different games?
Because Duel Links is more like about like speed dueling, right?
Well, that's where speed dueling came from. It was from Duel Links, but yeah, they took Yu-Gi-Oh, and they're just like, hey, you know what? 5 monster zones and 5 spell and trap zones. That's too many. So we're gonna cut it down to 3. Yeah, and then they cut your deck size. I think like from
20.
Yeah, right. I think you get 20 to 30.
Yeah, I didn't really like the format though. Like personally, speed dueling was just something I was just like, what? Got even more confused about it. It wasn't until recently now that I'm playing Master Duel, and like, oh my god, I love Master Duel so much because for one, the music. Music is amazing, and the only reason why I love the music
That's the first thing I heard about that game all the time was the badass music.
It's because of the composer is the same one for Octopath Traveler's music.
Oh!
And I love Octopath Traveler.
Now, that was a situation, if I recall correctly, since Disconnected Cast did not, back in 2023, by the way, did not get to report on it because we were obviously on hiatus at the time. But that's the one where the composer wasn't properly credited, if I recall correctly, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Konami, like many things they fuck up, shat on the composer.
You know, one thing that sucked was like shortly after Master Duel dropped, they put the soundtrack on Spotify. But I think maybe like a month or so after, I think they pulled it. Which is just so shitty. Like,
let me listen to the damn music on Spotify.
Yeah, it's like you're just gonna listen on YouTube anyway.
Konami is like so weird with shit like that. But that first month when Master Duel dropped was magical.
Yeah, I was just like, why is this music going so hard.
And it did have reactive music too, right?
Yeah,
it's great. Love that.
Because the way the Yasunori Nishiki works is he loves to have build up in his music. He loves the before effects of concerts and stuff like that when they build up the audience and they build up to that climax and just smack you with it. That's exactly what he does with Master Duel. It starts off with at the beginning of the duel, it's just like a calm, like you're just starting out the duel. Somebody brings out a big boss monster, bam, music changes right there. Now it gets tense, now it gets even more. Somebody is almost close to dying, their life points are very low, changes again.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Boss monster?
Well, I always find it awkward though when like an archetype has a quote unquote boss monster, but it's like a Link 2 that's not really gonna do anything.
It's like, oh no, this is not where I'm ending.
Exactly.
This is where I'm going.
It's always a little awkward.
Yeah, whatever. I just
otherwise it's
24/7, so it's fine.
Oh yeah, no, like playing Salamangreat, like as I'm just sitting there, like doing my combo, and I'm like, okay, here's access code.
Like, all right, here we go. I'm doing my combo, and let's just see if they go ahead and surrender or not.
This isn't boring, by the way. I'm on 1 hour sleep, so I just keep yawning. I feel so awkward because that's why I backed away from them. I was just kind of like, God damn, I'm gonna make them fall asleep because I'm just like over here yawning, and it's not because I'm not interested in Yu-Gi-Oh. Because honestly, that music is pretty badass though. Like I really remember when you showed me like immediately.
Yeah, I think immediately I was like, yo, we
need to listen to this
shit.
It was really
this shit out.
I think literally, like we got in my car and we were playing it.
But they never sold that soundtrack, right? Like on vinyl or on CD.
No, I swear to God, they better.
If they ever did.
God, if somebody were to make a bootleg, don't make a bootleg, but like press that on vinyl.
But just maybe later.
Right? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Send us an email.
Because hearing that soundtrack completely uncompressed.
Yeah.
That would be. God damn it. Okay. All right, Tony. So what else? Before I fall asleep, because
honestly, Yu-Gi-Oh's been taking over my life. I've been watching Arc 5 right now.
Oh, nice.
And at first I was like, man, this is stupid. Then 2-3 episodes down.
We were watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge before we started recording.
Yeah, I still need to finish Arc 5.
I was like, oh man, this is kind of stupid. It's childish. And then I'm like watching like 4 episodes in. I was like, damn, this is actually really awesome.
Have you watched Reigns yet?
No, I haven't yet.
I stand Reigns.
Yeah, the only thing right now is the reason why I started watching Arc 5 is because my favorite archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is pendulums. I love pendulums.
When I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And was learning like how the new pretty much Master Rule 5 works. Yeah, the deck that I started was Pendulum Magician. Those back when they had the FTK.
Oh god.
Yeah, but even after that, it was still pretty fun.
And then Master Duel kept the FTK for a while, and they just banned it recently too.
Yeah. Yeah, but then eventually I found Salamangreats and haven't really put that deck down.
Yeah,
but
Pendulums is just taking over me right now. Right now I'm trying to create a DDDs.
Oh jeez, get your spreadsheets ready.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With a spreadsheet.
Yeah, pretty much.
How big was your gap between playing Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah, like it was a pretty long period of time.
Like back in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long ass time.
Yeah, so the meta obviously changed quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
But there's so that's Yu-Gi-Oh! For the most part. Shows in general also have been trying to just keep up with new releases. So like Vinland Saga, Trigun Stampede. Which, by the way, 3D animation should look like that.
Not like Berserk.
It's like, oh god, don't even get me
Let's
started.
not speak of that.
Nope, it's just the. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Actually, yeah, Record of Ragnarok has some 3D animation going on for the fights, and it's like Berserk wished to be like this.
Why did Berserk look so bad?
Even Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 too. Every time the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon comes out, I just want to throw up. But it's whatever. That's for shows wise. Games now. I stole Patrick's idea of trying to finish a game every month, and so I failed terribly.
Yeah, it's a hard goal, especially as
being an adult.
Yeah,
it's a hard.
Being an adult with a job that beats your ass. Yeah. It's one of those things where that's hard enough, right? But and I remember I had talked about this on. I didn't remember the host configuration.
Actually, that reminds me. This week I got to make some time to play some Stranger of Paradise because the new DLC just dropped.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So.
Bullshit. But I was gonna say, and that's the thing. Like, it's one of those things where the issue I had was obviously adulting, right, making it hard to do. But it doesn't help also that like so many games I like are like 60 to 120 hour games.
Yeah.
And then that also fucks me up where it's like I have to beat this. Like, my goal is to beat this in a month. Like fuck.
Mm-hmm.
My goal should become beat this in a year now at this point. A game that took me a while to beat, but I absolutely loved every second of it was of course Disco Elysium. John had recently started playing it, although I don't know how far he even committed to that because he never talked to me about it again. And I feel like John would. I think everyone would really like that game, but I feel like John also would have really dug some of the path choices and stuff you can make in it. So I feel like if he was playing it, I'd be very surprised if he didn't. If he did, because he hasn't said shit.
Yeah, I mean, so far what he's talked about when he did serve,
yeah,
he enjoyed it.
Yeah, so he got through part of the tutorial at least, so that's good.
Yeah, so right now the game that I finished, or that was my goal, I guess, for this month.
Yeah.
I had two different games I had on the verge of finishing. Like I know for a fact I'm gonna finish. It was Tales of Arise or Ghost of Tsushima. Yes, I know 5 years late, but fuck it, you know.
Tales series is good. Ghost of Tsushima is good. So
yeah, so I finished Ghost of Tsushima literally today, and
that's where you got your badass screenshots from, right?
Yep, and I cried my eyes out, and right after I was done, that's when Patrick called me. So
yeah,
I was glad he
then
called
I was
me
emotional,
afterwards.
and then everything went there. But what was I gonna say? Ghost of Tsushima is that the game that added? Is that the game that added multiplayer later on?
Yeah, it was like their Legends mode.
There you go.
It's kind of like what they did with like the Last of Us like online
Yeah,
stuff.
except
like,
Ghost of Tsushima is actually good online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tales of Arise, I could not for the life of me try to finish it because the ending right now has been so far like 30 to 45 minutes of cutscenes.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to fall asleep every time I've been playing that game.
Yeah.
The everything else about the game was
great.
Amazing.
Have you played Death Stranding or Metal Gear Solid 5?
No.
They're gonna make you think those cutscenes are short.
Well, I remember that was an issue I had playing the first Xenosaga.
Oh god, yeah, Xenosaga has a lot of that shit also.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. But then you clear that first area out, and then you're on that ship, and then it's like.
You're just watching.
I hope you don't have any plans for the next like half hour or something.
Yeah, there's a cutscene not even that far into. Well, first of all, the opening cutscene of Death Stranding is already like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then after you walk across a field, which is a lot of the game. I like it, don't get me wrong, it's just funny that the game sounds so dumb to explain. Once you walk through that field, literally just to get to the building, you don't even need to encounter the weird phantom fuckers or whatever, or anything like that. You get to the building, and it's a 30-minute cutscene. Yeah. So that's already 50 minutes within like the first like 2 hours of the game that you're actually just watching. Metal Gear Solid 5 had like an hour-long ending cutscene, I believe, if I recall correctly. Almost like 40 minutes, something like that. Ending cutscene at the very end of the actual ending cutscene of Metal Gear Solid 5 is like 40 to 60 minutes long.
Yeah, and I mean for Tales of Arise, the way that they do their cutscenes and stuff like that, it's pretty smart. And most of them are optional in the sense that you could be walking around an area and it'll prompt you like, hey, there's like a little like cutscene between characters that would you like to watch it type of thing, you know? And I could just completely ignore that, but I don't want to miss any tidbits of the story.
Yes, correct.
So like, why would I? Because at the point that I'm in, they're just dumping everything, and you're like, forget everything that you knew about the game to this point. Like, this is what's actually happening.
Correct.
And I'm just like, okay, I now am so confused because I took a break from the game, and I come back, and I'm like, I just don't know what's happening anymore.
I feel like that's a JRPG curse.
Yeah, it's tough. Some games do it very well though. Some games will like still be okay and kind of okay to follow.
I feel like a lot of RPG games should have like a log or
Yeah.
something like tell you what the last thing you did was.
I forgot what game I'm thinking of, but there's a game that I played like a few years ago where every time you started up the game or at the beginning of a new chapter, it started to play a recap of each of the previous chapters. You could just skip it, obviously.
That sounds very familiar.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remember, because then every time I'd start the next chapter, it would be like, it would start playing a cutscene, like a quick, like last time on, without saying that, of course, of like the first episode, the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, and you get it pretty much like that.
Yeah. It's not like I mean, I'm pretty sure Witcher doesn't do that with when you go through the main story part at least, it changes the cutscene when you load in.
Yeah, they did do that. That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that is one thing.
Yeah, because
I haven't played
that.
Witcher forever, so probably.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. There was that. Okay, so then your game goals.
Yeah, that and Tales of Arise, I guess, will be next month's goal if I can bring myself to finish it.
That's not what RPGs anymore. It's fucking long.
Yeah, I mean, and also
RPGs have to make it everyone else.
I've just been grinding a lot of like online games, so like Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Warframe right now. I'm like
games that never end.
Some friends, and
Warframe is actually pretty good.
It's a hefty plate there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot of time-consuming fucking games.
It is.
Yeah.
14 alone is already life-sucking.
Oh my god, especially with their new. So I came in late to the expansion. I've already finished the story and stuff, but like literally as I was like kind of finishing up the story and everything, like, hey, by the way, the next update is in 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, cool. And guess what? We're adding more story, more trial, a new alliance raid. I'm like, okay, cool, great. Working through that. Haven't even touched the story for 14 yet because I don't even know what's going on anymore. I don't know what's going on with any of my games now, to be honest. But
out of curiosity, how far are you in 14?
In 14, I'm caught up.
Nice.
I'm up to recent patch. It's just I haven't done the recent patches story.
So just haven't done the recent patch.
Yeah. So it's not like I'm super far. No, I started playing the game like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, like with me, with the exception of what was it? What's the latest one? Like Endwalker.
Endwalker.
Yeah. So I had purchased every single expansion, but I didn't really play it. And then I tried getting back into it because I just don't really have the time for MMOs these days.
I mean, that's fair. I barely have the time now. So.
Yeah, I keep like deluding myself thinking that I can do it. And when Realm Reborn started, I played that a lot. So I was actually in the beta for it and played that, and I got really hooked. And so when the game came out, I played pretty actively, and I remember beating that first story,
right?
Like pretty much before you get to the Bahamut cloisters or whatever.
Okay,
that
like
is.
the coils.
The coils, yeah, the coils. So I never did that. I never touched that. But I did get to do the primal fights, which were amazing, except for Titan. That one's a bitch.
Did you fall off?
Plenty of times.
It's fair. It's okay. Everybody does.
And then last I tried playing, which must have been within the past year or two, I was trying to get caught up, and I think I was working towards the Leviathan fight.
Oh, okay. So that's after Endwalker, or not Endwalker, sorry, that's after Realm Reborn stuff, right?
Yeah, and so that's the last I remember, and I haven't really touched it.
Yeah, it's been such a while since I've been at that point that you're in. Because obviously I'm caught up now. It wasn't fair because I started playing Final Fantasy 14 when I was basically still in like beginning of my college years, so I had all the time in the fucking world to play games. So I blazed through, Realm Reborn, Heaven's Word, Stormblood, and I was playing at the time. Stormblood's lifespan was ending, so I caught up to Stormblood, was doing all the extreme trials and stuff like that, doing the end game content, and then that's when Shadowbringers dropped, and that's when I was really into it. But then fell off towards the end of Shadowbringers because at that time I was still playing Destiny 2, so that's also when Witch Queen started dropping for Destiny, and that's when a lot of
that when it started getting really good.
Yeah, that's when it started. That's when I started enjoying Destiny again.
Yeah.
Because I played Destiny when it first came out too, and that was during my high school years. So again, a lot of time to go ahead and play those types of games.
Yeah, when you're in high school.
Absolutely nothing. So that's why I'm here. But no, I mean, compared to just a bunch of other stuff that I've played, I know Destiny 2 is not really for everyone, and gladly shouldn't be, because I am saddened at the fact that I've spent too much money into that game. I can technically say I bought a PS4 for Destiny.
Oh shit.
Because when the Rise of Iron came out for Destiny 1,
Rise of Iron and Taken King
yeah,
were
they
so
were like
fucking good.
They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna release these now. All right, sweet, but yeah, we're dropping the PS3 support for it. So I'm just like, cool. So I have to buy a whole new system for this game. Okay, so I kind of counted towards the Destiny fund. So
all you had to look forward to was Leviathan.
Yeah, so I went ahead and gave somebody's paycheck that time. Yeah, but I've been a Destiny fan for as long as I can remember, and right now I'm not playing it as much, but just because of the fact that their whole I'll say quote unquote new system with the way they're doing their seasons now, they're doing seasonal content per expansion. There's 4 seasons in an expansion, then they release another expansion. A very good way they're doing that now instead of hey expansion there, okay I guess next expansion, and just have nothing in between. So now it's just a seasonal thing to get to the next expansion. And at first, before even Witch Queen came out, Beyond Light, that structure worked and it was fine. It was great. I had a wonderful time playing Destiny again. It wasn't until halfway into Witch Queen we're like, okay, this is starting to get stale. They're starting to do the same patterns for every week because basically what you do is let's say, new week comes out. You have a new story quest. Okay, cool. Your weekly reset grind. And then you stop grinding. That's it. That's literally how the pattern has been for the past 2 expansions.
That's pretty rough.
And now that, Lightfall is coming out, they need to break out of that shell if they're going to be trying to do something with that. Because they're now stuck at this point where, the thing about, just gamers in general, communities in general, there's those people who are never satisfied.
Yeah.
So
gamers, period.
Yeah.
You need events to keep the shit going on.
And they do, but they have the same events and same structure for the events every
stale as
year.
fuck.
Look, Bungie, just bring back Sparrow Racing, please. I was having so much fun.
God damn it, you're preaching to the choir there. It's the only fucking thing I like about Destiny. I'm joking. Crucible's cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy Crucible until, with every game, really,
it's so
people
weird.
get to
like, towards the end of its life, I felt like Destiny 1 was, like, right there.
Yeah, it was. That's why I was excited for 2 until it shit the bed and started over.
Yeah, you mentioned in previous episodes, too.
Exactly.
It's like,
what the fuck?
How do you fuck it up? That you get to a good point in Destiny 1, Destiny 2, what happened?
And fucking Bungie sympathizers like to just give me that nonsense where they're just like, Activision, Activision separated from the city.
Not there anymore.
Shut the fuck up.
They ain't there anymore.
Well, the thing that was stupid, I forgot if it was the stupid Iron Banner or if it was the raid, but like the gear didn't even come with any lore on it. It was just like, here's a piece of gear, like
probably Iron Banner stuff because it's just PvP things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, now with Destiny 2, they try to add lore tidbits for every single piece of armor and stuff like that.
I mean, I guess you could argue Destiny 1 almost had no lore because anytime I wanted to see lore, it just gave me a fucking wiki link.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to learn about this beast you just fought? Wiki link.
Fortunately, there were some YouTube Destiny lore channels.
Yeah, but the fact that you have to go to that, like for me, when I play my games,
let them do the legwork.
Yeah, but for me, when I play video games, I like to just play the game and experience the story there. Like when I play Yakuza, the story is actually in the game.
Like
so.
imagine if you took Dark Souls and
then
it's like, hey, you want to learn more about lore dread? Well, guess what? You gotta find stupid little items. All over the map.
Dumb.
Yeah, but see, the thing is too, it's like Destiny 2 does it at least a little better, and especially like I said with their seasonal kind of structure, it has been working for a bit, not so much anymore. But every week, it's like you get like more like lore, and they're giving a lot more, putting a lot more lore out, telling you straight up instead of having for you to go find it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the way they did it in Destiny 1 was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like you have to find little.
I don't know who I am or where I am. All I know is that I must kill. That's where you were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I've been doing. Other than that, just working and slowly whittling my life away.
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Me, I've been dying. I mean, for a while I was on an Overwatch 2 kick, and I just kind of stopped playing again. I want to. It's just most people aren't online usually, so I don't know. That game kind of sucks when you're not with your actual team.
Yeah.
I ain't playing with randoms.
We're just waiting until Patrick gets his VR kick.
I'm ready to do VR again. That'd be fun. I'm obviously dying right now. That's why my energy level went from 3,000 at the beginning to 0. But yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it. Shows wise, I mean just the typical stuff. Catching up. I mean I was watching Chainsaw Man. I'd already seen Spy Family, shit like that. Like live action TV show wise, I mean there are some K dramas, but I'm not gonna suggest them yet because I still have to see if it's gonna be good. Still, like it's fine, but then sometimes they drop the ball or like they have weird pace changes and stuff like that. So we'll see. But otherwise, just that. I played Pokemon for a while, which is okay. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is an interesting one because I see all the potential, but unfortunately, it's just executed so meh. Like the Switch is a capable console, but the kind of scale and world they were trying to do should have been tapered a bit better. To try to fit that. Like you want to seem like you have this like open world game, but then you have these tons of land where there's like nothing. It's just brown splotches and green splotches of shit in between cities so far apart from each other that you're just like, God damn it, I have to fucking drive your dumb Pokemon or walk or whatever, and just like, okay, I mean, I guess. It just seems like a lot, if the cities were a lot closer, it doesn't really, it's all what you're doing is to kill time. And then the other thing too is the fact that like, there's weird stuff, like when you play co-op, if your friend battles a Pokemon, they just T-pose in front of the Pokemon basically, and like, you don't actually get to see the battle. I was kind of hoping to actually see the fight, but you don't get to actually see it. It's so weird. And then,
it's actually intentional. It's just to insert dominance.
Exactly, right? And then there's the fact that if anybody gets like more than like the distance we are, about like 10 feet away from each other, they drop to like 2 FPS because the game is trying to render a bunch of stuff. So to save on resources, it lowers the animation. But you can still see them within the distance. They're still within draw distance. So you can see their animation just literally being jank. It's so weird. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the game otherwise. I still had fun. That's the problem with Scarlet and Violet is that like I still had fun, but there's just so much I could have done better. Definitely could have used like either wait till the next system or lower the scale or there's like lots of stuff they could have done. But game-wise, pretty much just Overwatch, Pokemon. Doom 2016. I started playing again because I was gonna get back into Doom Eternal. But I was gonna start Doom Eternal. But the issue I ran into is there's a level I'm stuck on, which sucks ass. So I might just skip the Doom Eternal just to get started on that. Just because I'm stuck on a level. I'm like 3/4 of the way through Doom 2016, and I remember beating it. So I don't know what the fuck I can't beat this one, assholes. But yeah, so that boss fight I'm on is kind of tough, but whatever. But Doom's still really good. First of all, the Switch ports are amazing. Like Switch ports are either the most dog shit thing in the world, like No Straight Roads, or
did you also have? Yes. So I saw it on the Switch, and I was just like, you know what? This seems like an interesting concept. I want to play it because I love video game music. So I was like, hey, I get to play with video game music and just play an actual game at the same time. Cool. And just the game was just unplayable for me. I did not reach the end.
Did you at least get to the Una fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it's like.
Yeah, that's where I stopped.
Which sucks because that music is great.
It is. It's so good. That's why I bought it on the PlayStation and then finished it.
Yeah.
Y'all both did the same things. It's just so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I beat it on the Switch. I went through it. But yeah, after that, I double dipped and I bought it on PS4 and then beat it again.
See, I bought it on PS4 because I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna play with a friend.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and it was just so much better with not playing it by myself and just actually having it work. It actually was fun.
It just works.
So yeah, there's that. And this is also good Switch ports like Alien Isolation, Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal. So it's one of those things where that's what frustrates me is that it is possible. That's the thing that pissed me off about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's like, I know Game Freak isn't theoretically Nintendo first party, but aren't they? You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things.
Right.
So most of Nintendo's first party stuff seems to just be very seamless and runs very well. Usually the better looking games that run better are typically first party games.
Mm-hmm.
Third party ports are always that fucking random dice roll.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Doom 2016 is good in there. That's just me stuck on a skill level thing. But I might just start Eternal because I've been putting off that for like a long time. So there's that. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna because otherwise it's just recovering right now. So that's not the fun. That's not fun. Oh, right. No, I put an edit note. I was like, what the fuck does this mean? I forgot. That's the edit out sound from earlier that I know made it into the recording. That's what it was. Okay, anyways. Channel plugs. I know some of us aren't as active as we were at the point of the thing, but anything you want to plug, Mr. Tony?
Yeah, you can find me on Leishinto legit everywhere. That'll be LEIHSHINTO. That'll be on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. Yeah, pretty much anywhere.
All right, Joe, where you be found?
Well, YouTube is still ShiroClay5, and then I haven't done jack on Twitch, but Twitter and Instagram is still at JimShiroJoestar.
Come through. And then for me, something's changed. The Twitch is K-Drive Radio because I started. In the meantime, in between the hiatus of the podcast, I started K-Pop radio station, which is now also on hiatus, so that's epic. It's not really officially on hiatus. I just haven't streamed in a while, but I was more consistent with that, for a while. So in time, everything gets paused because just again, work life is just so fucking busy. Yeah. If I could just do that in the podcast, I'd be so happy. I really wish because I could do that all day, every day, both of those things. Mm-hmm. And then at CD Rocker, pretty much at most of the places. SlimAsianEntertainment.com for the YouTube stuff. And then, of course, disconnectedguys.com. That's why a lot of y'all are here, /Spotify, because that's where a lot of our traffic comes from. Again, if you have anything coming up, normally I plug this at the end. I'll plug it again at the end as well. But if you all have any questions, interactions, or you want to talk about anything we talked about during our recaps, you can always hit us up at disconnectedguysmail@gmail.com. Typically, it's just really butthurt people that have been on there that have read their letters on the mail, so it's pretty funny. Or they want to be wrong on the air, so that's really cool.
Interesting.
Getting to the news, we have a game that recently released on Steam called The Hidden and Unknown. Y'all, I'm going to pull a Jay line here. You heard about this? You know about this? No, shit. I was going to say, did y'all hear about that game?
It seems unknown.
Guess what the price is?
The price? Judging by you making us guess the prices, I guess it's not going to be reasonable, so probably $60, $70.
What about you, Joe?
Oh, jeez. I want to say $69.99, but I'm now getting this creeping fear that it's going to be higher than the normal AAA retail.
It's on Steam, so that's just to point out. Just in case.
I mean, I'll stick with $69.
$2,000. So it's
what?
It's a $2,000 game. Is the price tag.
It's definitely unreasonable.
Very unreasonable. What the game is it's how is it from? Can you imagine?
No.
It's by developers called ProX.team, who's made problematic games in the past. Once you start up the game, you're introduced to a text crawl about men's rights and the human cycle of reproduction. And all that kind of stuff at the very beginning in a Star Wars like text crawl. And then you end up entering the game. You play a character named Brian, who's a little soy boy, because the game's point is this is the problem with society nowadays. Right. The game said, I believe this is a quote, so if I fucked up the quote exactly.
Like a Daily Wire presents.
Almost. According to the game, most Western men today are feminine and incapable of taking the lead. So the game is kind of showing you through this protagonist, Brian, little gimp boy, little soy boy, why being too soft and such a pussy in 2023 is a bad thing. And it's horrible. It's horrible. And like anyone who's had the misfortune to try that game for the price tag or see any footage of the game for that price tag is all said.
So the developers are asking for that price?
That's the actual... I'm going to try to look... I don't have Steam installed on my iPhone, thank God.
He's like, I feel like, why would you make a game and then say, I'm going to sell it for this amount?
It's almost like they know that anyone who believes in that kind of propaganda is that stupid. I don't know, because it also just seems like such an obvious, blatant propaganda thing.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Tate Simpson or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Now that y'all didn't believe me. Now that y'all didn't believe me, but there's the Steam page, so I just showed them for point of reference for the microphone. I just showed them on Steam. Now it is also Mac compatible.
Okay.
So you can play it on your Mac too.
Oh, isn't that what all the soy boys use?
Yeah. Oh, and if y'all thought I was joking about the Star Wars like text crawl, there's the thing talking about the whole "don't be a soy boy" basically.
It just makes sense that you're gonna like. That just seems.
If you're trying to get a point across, you would think you want to make it accessible.
Right.
I love these little arrows pointing at the bottom that say, I'll read it to y'all. Hard, arrow pointing to strong. Strong pointing to easy. Easy pointing to weak. Weak pointing to hard. It's a cycle. If you're weak, life is hard. It's hard work, but if you're strong, life is easy. So cringe. Like that kind of bullshit ass cringe is so bad. I wanna let me read this. First of all, it's called an apologue, APOLOGUE. There's an idea called the human cycle, all caps, which cannot be stopped as long as the human. Oh god, this is horrible. As long as humanity continues to exist. This has been the case since the inception of civilization. It's so bad. I'm not going to read the rest of that. Yeah. It's really horrible. They have the audacity to ask for. I mean, to be fair, it says 1999 90.90, but I mean, after tax and shit, it's like that's probably so they can get to 2000 exactly. Right. I can't believe it. As you can imagine, they're getting flack for it. A lot of about the price, about the whole subject matter, etc. Right. Visual novel style game, so hilarious. Oh god, it's so bad. Oh god.
Yeah, it just makes less sense the more we go on.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's so horrible. I don't know if y'all ended up seeing it, but have you all heard Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong voice? It's just.
I don't think I have.
It's just Seth Rogen talking. And so that's kind of become the thing with this movie, is it just seems like everyone just talking. Nobody's making a voice. Nobody's actual voice acting. Like Chris Pratt's just talking as Chris Pratt. Now Seth Rogen is obviously just talking as Seth Rogen. Like Jack Black is just talking as Jack Black, which at least works with Jack Black.
Well, Jack Black seems to be putting some effort with it. He's adding like
yucking it up a bit.
His voice.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like
he's just a goofy man. I mean, he's perfect for it.
The more I see from it, the less interested I am. Yeah. I almost don't even know if I'm going to see it in theaters. I kind of just want to watch it secondhand because it just seems so shit.
I probably will. The movie, so far of what I've seen, the movie looks like it'll be fun. But yeah, I'm not excited about the Chris Pratt voice, but the movie looks like it should be fun. So I probably will see it.
Are you, Tony, you going to go see it?
I really don't know. I'm going to be completely honest. I mean, I want to see it for Jack Black and literally nothing else. I mean, I like Mario, but not really to the point where I want to consume a lot of media about it.
Pretty much. Jack Black fucking maining the hunter. What is it? The Monster Hunter meme with Jack Black?
Oh, yeah, the hunting horn thing.
I mean, it's also got Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach. So.
At least there's that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Microsoft. Oh yeah, Phil Spencer fucking defending Microsoft. So recently Microsoft has been throwing out offers attempting to acquire Activision Blizzard, which would make them probably the most toxic company of all time, of all three of them combined.
And then they acquire Ubisoft.
Yeah, and then of course they're getting flack for this because they're already getting criticism that Microsoft hasn't even really released any exclusives or games at all, really, first party. And they also just cut 10,000 jobs, including the Halo Infinite developers at 343, even though they keep saying it's such an important studio and that Halo is not getting support cut, even though they're doing shit like that.
Yeah, actually, there was like a recent wave of a whole bunch of companies that let go, just did like massive layoffs, which just really doesn't fucking make any sense. Unless these people are just like trying to make it be like, oh, it's the Democrats' fault or some dumb shit like that.
Yeah, just all points into politics. So at that point, it's just so petty.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, or everybody wants to try and beat Elon Musk to the punch of shooting themselves in the foot. I guess.
I don't even understand. That's why honestly I'm not on Twitter as much too, because I just cannot stand Twitter comments at all, because I can't comprehend them. They just don't know what they're talking about, and it just hurts my brain.
Yeah, Twitter can definitely be a cesspool of horrendous things, but there's also some great stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
I mean, it's really like a lot of like really everywhere on the internet. You know, there's always gonna be just people that are just shitty humans and whatnot. But I really don't. I just like to look at a Twitter post and just don't even go into the comments, especially with a lot of games that like I follow and stuff like that. One of them being when I used to play a lot of Genshin Impact. You know, it's fine, whatever, their Twitter page just gonna update stuff. But when the new area came out for Sumeru, a lot of people were really mad at the fact that the characters from Sumeru weren't of darker skin. That they're like, oh, they look too pale, or oh, they're not. So I'm just like, oh my god, like what, you know? And it's up to like, you know, the stupid death threats and stuff like that. It's like just a lot of childish things that they keep doing to these people who are like just trying to do as they're told and just kind of doing their job.
So I can't really comment as I don't really know the context for Genshin, but I imagine it's probably like. Actually, I saw recently someone. This was going around. So somebody had took Puss in Boots and then kind of made like a human, like drew a human version of him. But there was outcry due to the fact that he was very light skinned. Yeah. And they're like, oh, why would you take this character and make them white? And it's one of those like, okay, I don't know if this person understands how Spain works.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, Spain, to my understanding, is very diverse. You're gonna have darker skinned people. You're gonna have lighter skinned people.
Yeah,
like,
funnily enough, too, like my Spanish teacher in high school was well, he wasn't from Spain, but you know, he was lighter skinned than anybody else in that classroom.
Yeah,
and he spoke perfect Spanish. Like it people just don't think. People just type out before they even have a thought enter their heads.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain instances where it's a bit more warranted. Where, let's say, if it was a Mexican character, I could understand you probably would want a darker tone, but like Spaniards, like
yeah, it was more in the sense that like I understand because the new area for Genshin was supposed to be based on like I'm probably gonna get like freaking flamed for this, but it's gonna be like it was supposed to be more about like Egyptian like culture and stuff like that. Okay. And so yeah, that's why there was just so much of an uproar because not one single character was a darker skinned tone than you know.
I can probably understand that.
And then I think also with Genshin, we also have to remember the fact that it's a Chinese company, so dark skinned people are usually always super erased in a lot of Chinese media. So that could, I'm not saying that's what has to do with it, but it could.
You mean to tell me the country that is like doing really terrible like eugenic stuff is also, you know, doing like POC erasure?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where I think that might have a lot to do with it, honestly. So it's kind of interesting. It could go either way.
Yeah,
it could be.
It is one of the, like, I totally understand, but yeah, when you get into the whole, like, very hardcore, like, OGs, well, you also have to remember that one of the reasons Twitter kind of got like this was because that's where the people from Tumblr went to.
Yeah, whenever Tumblr pretty much, you're not allowed to say shit anymore.
Yeah, so, you know, you gotta deal with that.
But yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so it's really odd, like, that, I don't know, I think it's so stupid. I mean, Google does this a lot, like, when they kept promising the Stadia wasn't going to die, even though
it absolutely did.
Even though it was in its grave off the bat, and they were just trying to, like, basically try to extend it more. And then Phil Spencer, too, he's just, like, he was in the press conference, he was trying to be so fucking, like, gung-ho about how, like, don't worry and all this shit, even though, Not to mention the kind of point out in further detail, among the 10,000 people that were cut from 343 Studios, excuse me, their jobs, including people from 343 Studios, did include senior developers as well. So it's not like it's even like
it's not even the
just newbies or just intern. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
So the restructuring and Microsoft be hacked, and it's kind of like ironic that they're not ironic, but it's almost fitting, I guess, is a better word, that they're trying to absorb Activision Blizzard, who has really shitty business practices, and they're just trying to merge with them while at the same time committing as many atrocities as possible. It's almost like they're trying to prove themselves to Activision Blizzard that they're horrible also, so they'll fucking get married.
We can do it too.
I mean, the thing is, too, is that there's like, you know, I mean, what, like, then you're just gonna have Microsoft owning so many. Like,
it's starting to go towards a monopoly.
Exactly.
It's Activision Blizzard's already a lot of super AAA IPs. That's crazy. I don't know if a lot of y'all remember back in the day, but the Kadabra Pokemon TCG card was basically prevented from production for a while because an illusionist, remember that, right?
Yeah,
an illusionist by the name of Uri Geller was saying that it used his likeness. I bend spoons.
It's like, you look nothing like.
Yeah. He claims it's because his whole shtick is bending spoons, so since Kadabra did that, obviously he's ripping him off. So the court actually sided with him, which is why that card hasn't been in circulation or been printed in so long. But apparently there's according to this place, Poke Beach, which apparently is a pretty reliable Pokemon resource site of reviews and stuff like that. Their leaks are usually pretty accurate. There's a anniversary set coming out of 151 cards, and Kadabra will be included. So either his shit expired or whatever the case may be, but what a douchebag.
Yeah, imagine being that.
Like, to think, like, even though clearly it looks nothing like him, it's so dumb.
Yeah, I saw a photo of the guy, because I saw an article about it, and yeah, motherfucker, he looks nothing like you. This Pokemon looks nothing like you.
Actually, yeah, exactly, like, literally nothing like you. I don't know if any of y'all have played Disney's Dreamlight Valley, basically Disney's answer to Animal Crossing, which I thought would have been bad. It's a bit stiff sometimes, but, like, it's a pretty decent game. A lot of people seem to like it, and the support's been pretty good for it. They will be adding multiplayer, which is nice to see because that's something a lot of people have wanted from the beginning because it's just been a single player game.
Was it even multiplayer to begin with?
No. Even though obviously, because of Animal Crossing, seems like it should have been.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, they're going to add more new characters, which they've been pretty good about that. Adding new biomes and characters, they've been pretty good about supporting that. So definitely worth it. It's an interesting price bracket thing because there are different entry points. You can pay as little as $30 or as much as $60 or $70. And it's just like, what? Oh my god. Ooh, what starter cosmetics you get and stuff like that is pretty much the main difference. So I got the $30 entry one. It's fine. You can play most of the game anyways. Plus, like, how many things do you buy and you can use the fucking free cosmetics you get from it? Fucking, like, never.
Yeah, usually a lot of the free stuff's kind of...
So yeah, they're gonna, I believe they just released a detailed roadmap of their 2023 plans, but unlike Bethesda, they actually do the roadmap, so that's good. Oh gosh, let me see. In Like a Dragon Ishin, the Jesus Christ, the feudal Japan period Yakuza game coming out is actually gonna have these things that you can use to power characters called trooper cards. And there's going to be 2 celebrity ones that have been, at least just 2 that they've announced so far. That one is, one is Kenny Omega, the wrestler. He's going to have a card in there, which is funny because he's a white dude that's just obsessed with Japan. And the weird thing is, right, so Kenny Omega's attack is called One-Winged Angel, right? But he obviously got that from Sephiroth, right? And in fact, in Japan, he actually has a version of One-Winged Angel as his entrance theme, right? His power that he gives you in the game is going to be called Essence of the One-Winged Angel. How is that?
Not, like...
how's that allowed? It's crazy. And then there's another celebrity card added. What the hell's the name? Raul, he's an actor, apparently. Raul Coley? in Midnight Mass and iZombie.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
I have heard of that show. Well, I've heard of both shows,
Yeah.
but I've not seen them. So.
Oh God. Okay, I'm dying. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's wrap up time just because I'm really sorry, but I'm like the 1 hour since catching up. I've literally lost a lot of liquids right now. I'm like barely hanging in.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm gonna pass out. Like I feel sorry. Didn't mean to worry everybody listening.
Yeah.
But yeah. So to wrap things up, there is Dead by Daylight still getting support. They're gonna have a Lunar New Year event, and the skins you can get, it's gonna be RE themed. So the skins you can get is gonna be Jill Valentine, the very Asian Jill Valentine. William Birkin is gonna be the monster, I guess, and then Ada Wong. So that's kind of cool.
Nice.
And all that to celebrate Lunar New Year. All right, y'all. Again, sorry about all that. I'm extremely exhausted right now and not feeling good. So I do apologize.
Hey, but he pulled through.
Yeah, exactly. We pulled through, and I'm glad that we are back. So that's exciting. And
Yeah,
we hope
I'm back.
to
I've been here.
one
literally,
episode.
You know, I've been here forever.
Exactly.
I was just in the background.
Yeah.
And in California.
Pretty much. So yeah. Anything y'all heard or to fill in the news that I didn't because I'm like on the verge of falling asleep on the microphone, make sure you hit us up at disconnectedguysmail@gmail.com. Once again, that is disconnectedguysmail@gmail.com, and we will see you all in the next episode. We're going to try to keep episodes coming out on Mondays, but fuck knows. Especially this one might even come out late just because I want to get to it. We'll see. But
Yeah.
I'm glad the hardest part's recording it, so I'm glad we got to that. All right, y'all. We will catch you all in the next episode. See y'all later. I don't know. Something, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
There you go.